Hey guys, Neeb here. It's pretty crazy to think that it's been about 2 to 2.5 years since we started this Clone Wars series. It's been through hell and back, literally. They tried to cancel it, it came back, we made ourselves smarter, more illegal, and now here we are, talking about the, I don't know what episode of the Clone Wars series, specifically Imagination. So, Imagination, let's start off with what I think about this. I would rate this about an 8.7. It's a great daily signature scent. A lot of people, I think, came with a lot of hype, and at first I thought overhype. I really didn't appreciate the scent profile at first. It's soapy, it's fresh, it's clean, and I wasn't crazy about soapy. And at the time that I smelled this, aromatic notes, specifically the note of tea and petitgrain, used to give me a headache. For whatever it's worth, it stopped. So I'm able to appreciate it. Our noses develop, we definitely develop and change. Has my taste changed? A little bit, yes, actually. Yes, it did. Main reason why? Well, it's simple. I went to a couple of islands, Cabo and Cancun, and in every single one of those luxury hotels, the soaps smelled like this. So when I came back home and I sprayed it on, it took me back. And those memories that's actually pretty significant, you guys. Like, memories and things that we tie fragrance and scents to are oftentimes the most valuable thing to perfumery and fragrance. That's why, to me, this is all a lot more than just fragrance. Anyways, back to topic. It's fresh, it's aromatic, it's got a pretty hefty dose of tea that's rather herbal and crisp in nature. And actually, while wearing a lot of these clones, I kind of forgot how herbal this one actually is. A lot of the other clones, some of which go soapy, more floral, etc. And today we're going to emphasize on exactly those. Biases aside, you guys know I love which company. Sure, I love Fragrance World. Lattafa's like runner-up for me, but we're gonna keep it 100% honest. If Fragrance World had the worst one, it's gonna be the worst one. But stay tuned and I'll tell you guys exactly what's what. Starting off with the most detached, but still pretty close, is Luciano's Mystic Dream. Detached in this case does not mean that far off. So a lot of these fragrances do smell like it, except it's that very exact reason that I was talking about, the herbal tea, that this one kind of falls off. Still has that fresh, musky, melon style fragrance that's fresh with florals, specifically soapy florals, that you can wear every single day. Longevity on this is pretty monstrous, and if I'm not mistaken, it's an extrait de parfum, so it'll last. It's just not the most projecting one. Scent profile for this, I would place it at about 75% close, and moving on into the next fragrances, they'll definitely start to increase. If you want Imagination, get Imagination, because none of these will be 100%, and it's unrealistic to expect any fragrance to be 100% close. Yes, you're paying a premium, but you're also getting premium ingredients. You're getting it at 100%. Longevity for this is excellent, and like I said, if you want it, grab it. Back to Luciano, it's fresh, it's clean, it's floral, it's soapy, and it works. But the only thing that this one drops very simply is going to be that herbal tea note. It's as simple as that, no need to overcomplicate it. Performance for this one, it'll last pretty much the entire day, I would say 8 to 10 hours. And the occasions for all of these is signature scent worthy, gentlemen. You can wear this all year round in any single season and it'll work. And surprisingly, one of the factors that has also increased my appreciation for the scent profile is the fact that it's very compliment worthy. I've gotten a compliment from a woman almost every single time. So Luciano, is it worth the cash? I think so, at the right price. If it's significantly cheaper or if it's for a fair price or in stock, you can definitely rock it and it will smell really good. Moving on to the next one, this is called Joe Milano's, or it's called the Game of Spades Full House. On initial impression, the quality of this is outstanding, but this is very similar in the case of dropping off the tea. That's everything that this fragrance is about. It's not just fresh and cast cologne, the melon style vibe and florals, but that green tea, or I'm just redrawing a color to the tea note. I'm not actually saying it's green tea. What kind of tea is this even? Who cares? Catch my drift. It's a lot fresher. I would still say that this is like 75, maybe 78% close. Maximum 80%, but it's definitely not as close as some of the other offerings on this list. I would classify these as borderline twist territories, while it's still very clear what they're trying to do. The quality, though, for Joe Milano is outstanding, and it better be, because the price point for this is around 70, I think 70, 75 bucks. So while smelling the scent profile and the quality, and I've had these drying down for days now, it smells really good. It smells really nice, except it's not the closest, period. So if you're looking for the closest, this is not the closest. But if you're looking for something that smells good and premium, it definitely does that. In terms of longevity, the first like 2 hours, you're gonna get something you're just gonna be like, wow, dude, it lasts. And the remainder of the fragrance it's gonna last for above average 8 to 9 hours, and it's gonna be relatively present. I did expect a little bit more projection at first, but nevertheless, this is a great fragrance. The price point is in that like premium territory. It really just depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for the exact in general, you're gonna be let down. But if you're looking for something that's the closest, it's not. Is it good? It is, it's fantastic, but that's pretty much it. So moving on to the next one is going to be Al Haramain's Amber Oud Aqua Dubai. This is also extremely high quality. And one thing that I did notice with this one is the fact that it seems very close to the scent profile of Game of Spades Full House, but a little stronger. And I'm not talking about the initial blast, except no, it does pertain to the initial blast. The initial blast of this is going to be what Game of Spades Full House is, except it continues on for the remainder of the fragrance. I've gotten so many compliments from this one, and it just seems more sparkling and effervescent, but still not quite capturing that tea. That's where all of these start to fall off, is the tea note. This is a parfum, and this is an extrait de parfum, and you can absolutely sense that. Generally speaking, with a lot of parfum or the heavier oils you go, it starts to stick flat, but that's not the case with this one. It's still projecting, it's still really good. Haramain killed it with the quality for this one, and I'm not gonna say that Game of Spades didn't either, but total longevity, that's where this one takes the lead. They're both still relatively in that same 80% perspective in terms of how close it gets to my nose, to Louis Vuitton's Imagination, but the quality, if I had to pick over again, I would go with Haramain Aqua Dubai. I will say, price points, they're relatively close, and this is the big boy, big bottle. You're gonna pay the premiums for both of these, and they both smell like exactly that. I'm sorry, Luciano, you're still really good. You're still really, for the right price, dude, you're good, okay? Don't worry about it. Moving on to the next one. Now we're starting to get closer into the scent profile, but I have to be very clear, this doesn't mean the quality is better. So we'll address those as we get into it. Next one up is called Lattafa's Art of Arabia 1. Significantly the most alcoholic opening out of them all. I sprayed it on and it was just like, when is this gonna go away? The alcohol lasted for a good like 5 minutes, and after that, it's like, oh, okay, Imagination. And this in fact does get closer than the other fragrances, except for the fact that it seems not as higher quality as some of the other ones. They really set the bar high with these other ones, and it's understandable. Like, Lattafa's a fraction of the price, the Art of Arabia 1. But even then, you're still getting closer. The one thing I will say is that the citrus here seems a little bit off. Like, they added a note of mandarin or orange that's not supposed to be there. I'm not saying that that's the actual note that's added, but the citrus here seems like it's one off, and that's pretty much it. Otherwise, the aromatic nature of it, the tea is there. It's not as high quality, and that's really what this one comes down to. Is it close? It's definitely closer than all of these, except the quality, it's not on the same standard as some of these. Okay, so this quality wise, I would say it's treading in the Luciano territory, but as far as how close it is, now we're talking like 82%. Performance for this, it'll last pretty much the entire day. The scent profile is really what sets this one up. The florals, it's thick, it's indolic, and it's pretty long lasting. So you won't have a problem with performance. You're gonna get at least 8 hours out of Art of Arabia 1, pushing into 10 hours. And I would even say that sometimes these will last to the next day on clothing. I know for a fact Haramain's version does, and Luciano's. Moving on to the last two is going to be the absolute best clones for this fragrance, one of which is extremely hard to find, and these are just the facts. The facts are the facts, and the other one, price range, we'll talk about that soon as well. So the two winners of this clone war that I would say dominate by a long shot, and we're talking about like now we're in the 90% territory, is going to be these two. It's called Alexandria Fragrances Visionary and Essence de Blanc by F.A. Paris. The main reason is very specifically the tea note and everything else around it as well, but the tea note very specifically. While wearing all of these, I actually started to go back and be like, shit, did my bottle of Essence de Blanc change? It's like, it almost seems like there's too much tea, because I spent over a week rocking all of these fragrances. Actually, it was over time. It wasn't like, you know, consistent. Every time I wore one of these, I took notes. I just, you know, consciously thought about what I was smelling. And then I was like, Essence de Blanc is a bit more tea. Like, is it too much tea? And then finally, 2 days before I made this clone war, I wore Imagination. I was like, oh my God, it's not too much tea. That's actually how much tea should have been in it. And that's what took the cake. So it's more herbal than all of these, and in fact that's something that I appreciate. I don't like too soapy, and once upon a time I didn't like the note of petitgrain, and I thought I didn't like the note of tea, because petitgrain and tea, at least separately, kind of reminded me of each other, and it was that very negative association that I had with petitgrain that kept me away from tea notes. I'm sure you guys can relate. When you get a headache or a migraine, if you get sick, something causes you to get ill, you never want to touch it again. But when I started to try with tea again, I fell in love because I liked the note of tea and realized that it's not going to be, I don't know what it is with petitgrain. Me and petitgrain, we've got beef. So petitgrain, you better watch your back, but tea, it's all good. So when I finally gave this a chance, I started to really appreciate that actual tea note in Imagination, and that's probably what brought my love back for it. So long story short, Essence de Blanc is much closer than all of these. It's about 90 to 92% close, and it was that one note, the intensity of the tea note, that really takes the cake. And lastly is going to be Visionary by Alexandria Fragrances. I think these are pretty close. They're definitely pretty close. I would say like 90 to 93% for both of them. This one seems to have a bit less emphasis on that T. It's not as herbal and punchy, whereas Essence de Blanc, it's there, it's unapologetic, and it definitely gives you a little kick. Essence de Blanc, performance, it'll last the entire day. It has that soapy factor, the indolic factor that really makes it stick on clothing and on skin, and not only that, the projection is enhanced because of that herbal aromatic tea note. As far as something like Visionary, I also don't have a problem squeezing about 8 to, I would say, 9 hours out of this one. Not projecting as much, but it's still there and it's present, and that's the case with, luckily, all of these. But if you want imagination, get imagination. If you want the best ones, I laid it out, and the best one, really, it's up to you. What are you looking for? We interrupt this program to let you... Oh, shoot. Yo, Barouge Perlador, it lived. I always thought the cap was weird. Anyways, so you guys, the old Neeb is fired because he forgot how. Like, bro, this is how many clones I have of fragrances, but I love it. So I forgot to include 2 fragrances into this clone war, and that's why I'm wearing something else. This is the next day. Karas Blue Spice and also French Tobacco by Ibrahim Al-Qurashi. So Karas Blue Spice sits somewhere beneath a lot of those other fragrances that I mentioned. You know what? I might as well just grab them. Damn it. So the first fragrance that we put on this list, as far as like being close or being far, was one of, what the hell was it? It's so hard to keep track. Imagination. How many clones of Imagination are there? Oh, I remember now. Okay. All right. So when I made this list initially, one of the first ones was Mystic Dream. You guys are probably still watching it right now. So Mystic Dream being the first one. Karas Blue Spice honestly has to be the least attached to that DNA, and not in a bad way. The only reason I say that is because it seems to, just the overall scent profile, it does veer off quite significantly. I think I remember putting the Mystic, I mean, when you smell it, you're gonna know you're smelling Imagination. And initially, I'll be honest and tell you guys that I said that this is one of the best ones, but remember, initially I never liked Imagination to begin with, and I almost always said, I'm not the person to ask because I don't like Imagination. But since then, times have changed, and I'll tell you guys right now that this is the most detached. If Mystic Dream, I could taste it though, holy smokes. If Mystic Dream was about 75 to like 77%, I would put Karas Blue, too much of the air, holy smokes. I would put Karas Blue Spice at around 72 to 75%. Does it still smell like it? Yeah, it does. It does smell like it, but is it the closest? No, it's definitely not. So French Tobacco is another one, and I would place this somewhere right above both of these, the Game of Spades and the Al Haramain. The reason I say that is because of the fact that it's not as close, and even Art of Arabia 1 is still above French Tobacco. The quality of French Tobacco definitely smells better quality than the Art of Arabia 1, and it's in the same quality and vein as these two, the Haramain and the Game of Spades, which is saying something really high. Still allowing Essence de Blanc, or leaving Essence de Blanc and in the Alexandria fragrance. What portion of the video are we at? Oh, this should be at the end of the video, so who cares? Still, Essence de Blanc being one of the best ones, and the Alexandria as well. So the reason why this is underneath Art of Arabia, although being better quality, is it seems to have something tarry and almost incensey. And I think that they took Imagination and added just hint of tobacco. But that tobacco gave it a little bit of an incense undertone. It's mild to the most, or to the untrained nose in the air, it might smell alike, just like some of these other ones. To the untrained nose, it'll smell alike, but up close, you'll definitely smell it. I can definitely smell it. So better quality, yes. Projection and performance for this fragrance is outstanding. I would say that you'll get the entire day, but it's also because of the fact that the atomizers on this, it's kind of like, it fools you. You're almost spraying every atomization. That's like 3 sprays of a normal sized atomizer. So yeah, you get 200 mLs. If you can find it for the right price, wow. Okay. That's enough, that's enough. If you can find it for the right price, check the links down in the description where you can get this for like 130, 140 bucks, 200 mLs. I know it's a bit more I know it's more expensive than in the Middle East, but you know, the middleman and the people who ship it here, they want to eat too. So it is what it is. Is it still a good fragrance? Absolutely. Are you going to pay 200 mLs or $200 for a 200 ml? Probably more. Let's be real here in the Middle East or in the States. I mean, a lot of us are buying fragrances 50 mLs for 250 bucks. So I don't want to hear it, but what I do know is that it is definitely a great clone to also have. I would deem it a clone that's around anywhere from like maybe 75 to up to 78, touching touching 80%. That's pretty much it. It does seem a bit more towards the direction of the actual imagination. So if this was 75 to 80 and this is 75 to 80, it seems like this one is going towards the left, towards the citruses, still having an undertone of aromatics, and this one's going towards the right. It's towards the aromatics, adding even more aromatics to it. So it's not so much that they're like far off in percentage, it's just they're far off in their own different ways. The light is, oh damn, it's okay. This Neeb is gonna get fired too. I think they both gotta go. I think they both gotta go. Anyways, so Chorus, I didn't tell you guys about the performance. It actually performs, but what it performs with is, it's not the best one, but it's still pretty damn good for the right price. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry I didn't include these, but it's worth noting because I'm not gonna remake this video. No way, unless they drop like better clones. But at this point, it's like, dude, honestly, if you like imagination, I feel like any one of these will do. Starting, any one of these will do. Just pay attention to the descriptors. If anything I said you appreciate or enjoy more, pick that one up. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this Clone War. As always, I come on here to share with you guys exactly what I experience and what I smell. I don't care about the label. I don't care about the brand. I'm going to tell you exactly what I smell. And this was exactly that. So which one is best for you? Only you can decide. And I'll see you in the next. Wait, my name is Neeb. Thank you for tuning back in Aromatics, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.